So we're here on Roaring 40, another interview for our Osaka series with Kevin and Darrell. So Kevin the skipper, Darrell co-skipper. So most of the questions, sorry Darrell, are for Kevin because most of the time we don't get to interview two people.
He's the better talker. And,
Thanks, mate.
If there's anything you can add, definitely chip in.
Yep.
So Kevin, you served in the military for many years. Can you tell us a bit more about your time serving and what skills you learnt to transfer across to sailing and this kind of thing?
Certainly. Thanks for having us, Tom. So I joined up in '91 as a techo. I was a techo before the RAF as a mechanic. So they tried to get me to be a mechanic in the Air Force. I said, no, give me something different. So I did electronics, which worked out well for sailing. So electronics, electrical, navigation, radar. That was the game for about 15 years. I did that. And then I flipped over to become an officer, and then I started doing project management, which again,
same thing,
transferable skills to running a yacht campaign, and across land, air and space domains. So there's a lot of, I suppose, similarities in some things. You've got position warning in aircraft, you've got position warning in yachts. So there's a lot of similarities. So a lot of that was, I suppose, easy handoff to what I'm doing now.
Yes.
And there's always that, I call the industry team is my Air Force team. After 31 years in the Air Force, you could reach out through your network and find answers. So in this world, it's reach out to your Ronstans, reach out to your Carvers, reach out to whoever else. Whoever's in my team, I choose to have on the team. So,
Brilliant. And then Darrell, you are in the military or work?
Yep. Yeah, much the same as Kev. I'm still a techo, so I think Kev gets me on board to do the odd job with some of those techo skills. So,
finish that winch yet?
Nope. That's next. So I've been in for a while, worked across multiple platforms and a whole bunch of different aircraft. Last one was the P8 when we went and did a flyby when Kev was doing his global.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a bit surreal coming down, flying over top and doing a few laps around him. So seeing how small he was, out in the middle of the ocean and sort of how quick he disappears.
Wow.
At 500 feet. So yeah.
That was special.
Yeah. So to get something something like that across the line, you have to, I assume there's a process like we have to go see, or is it a lot more informal like?
No, the guys treated as, because we do a lot of like the P8 does a lot of maritime stuff, so it's just basically an exercise for the crew. There was some media stuff tied to it, so we had Air Force News and stuff like that on board, so they were taking photos. And then just myself and a couple other people that knew Kev were on the plane to have a bit of a chat on the radio as we're doing laps around him. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The same sort of plane that would visit or rescue like I don't know, Tony Bullimore, those sort of people.
Well, that was the P3 back then, but now everything that's chasing the Chinese boys that are ripping around, that would have been our P8 guys off ripping around with those. So
that Lithuanian rower that just got rescued.
Yeah.
So P8 did the spotting to find the dude.
Okay.
So we gave him practice to do that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Fate.
Yeah.
He should thank us, shouldn't he?
Yeah.
Lithuanian.
Yeah.
So next question. So what can you tell us about your boat? It has quite a history since it was launched in 1998. It took out the single-handed division of the 2008-2009 Global Ocean Race. And then it also came third on line honours and second overall in the brutal 2007 Rolex Middle Sea Race, which everyone remembers as the one where the crew were airlifted off the Australian yacht Loki when the rudder broke. So what can you tell us about this boat?
Yeah, so 97. So it was built in 96, launched in 97. It's an open 40. So the one next to us is a class 40. That's about an early 2000, Trekkie's an early 2000 sort of design. Hull 50, I think that is. Fiberglass and 750 litres of water. This one's carbon fibre, 1,000 litres of water ballast each side.
Wow.
It is built for predominantly single-handed North Atlantic Ausstar racing. So that's why this one's quite narrow compared to that one. So it does go quite well upwind.
Yes, so this is more of an all-rounder.
This will still fly downwind, but nowhere near as stable as that thing. About the same sail area in comparison. This has got, they come out in a Mediterranean sort of style, which has got nothing. or you can get them built up with bulkheads. This one's got a watertight bulkhead at the back in front of the rudders, another one midsection, and then another one forward, plus a crash box, a sacrificial bow in the front. So this one was basically overbuilt, so to speak.
Water ballast tanks either side.
Yep. So it's got 400 litres and 600 litres on both sides, 4 minutes and 5 minutes to fill the tanks.
Wow.
I've got electric pumps that pump the water in, comes in through a scoop. We push down into the water, pump the water in, and then we've got the same type of pump at the back end, and we can get rid of it in the same time frame.
Wow.
So in light winds, if you've still got the ballast on and you forget, you go, oh, we're going slow. You bump that out and you stand down the back just to watch the transom break free. And she just lifts up and you've got like 1.5, 2 knots.
Wow. And if you need it, it's like using one of your planes to airdrop 10 of me on the
I don't have to feed you.
Yeah.
Because when I look at it, and that's the food for the two of us in that little packet there, just in dry bags. Whereas if you got like 10 people on a 40-footer, no, it's just, I don't even know how.
Yep, on me.
It's, quite
that out of the way.
Wow. It's all well labelled.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So I've spent time, as I said, that it's done the Global Ocean Race with Michel Klinians, a famous Belgian skipper. He had 3 world records around Britain and Ireland, around Ireland and across the Med, speed records. And the one across the Med, he did the average 10 knots. And he blew a halyard and screwed a spinnaker or something as well.
Wow, he still did it.
And he still did it. So it's been around, and then I brought it back, did the Global Ocean Race, a Global Solo Challenge, and I sailed from Falmouth to Spain to the start line, injured my back on the way to the start line, had to wait 3.5 weeks, delayed my start, so by the time I got to Hobart, trying to get round Cape Horn and the weather window was just not on, and we just lost 2 boats, one each side of Cape Horn then, so it's like retire and do the Sydney Hobart.
Yeah, why not? And you're at home.
Yeah.
So the Global Solo Challenge that you got this boat for is a bit of an unusual race. I admit I had to actually look into the details on it this morning because there's so many of these little...
Yeah, they are popping up.
They're popping up, and I'm like, which one is that one again?
Yeah.
So the sort of to differentiate between the two, the Global Ocean Race that the boat did in 08-09, that was like a sort of either two-handed or single-handed Class 40 event. From what I found, whereas the Global Solo Challenge is a bit more interesting in that I think it was any boat from 34 foot up can participate, but it's like a giant stern chaser.
Correct.
Around the world.
That is exactly
low
right.
boats go first, fast boats go last, and then whoever gets to the finish first wins. So to your people watching, it's like a twilight race on a Wednesday, but the whole way around the world.
So it was mathematically worked out with IRC-based formulas. Even though it was a world sailing event, it was a sailing event, not under world sailing. So you get rid of a lot of the, I suppose, I won't call it baggage, but a lot of additional administrative functions that you still comply with the intent of, but you don't have to have a full-blown incident management crew. You don't have to, because when you go around non-stop, every Marine Rescue Coordination Centre is their own entity, and the organiser basically monitors it and talks to the families, that type of thing. Whereas the Global Ocean Race in 2008, it was like the world race, the Volvo race. It had stops around the world, whereas Marco Nannini's race, the Global Solo Challenge, was non-stop. It started off unassisted, but then they said, well, you can pull into a port, but you'll get penalised. So people did that. So that's the primary difference between, say, the Globe 40, which is another Class 40 race. It goes up into Tahiti and all sorts of exotic locations. Cost an arm and a leg to enter, and then you've got stopovers,
which add so much more complexity.
And then most stopovers, those boats were hauling out as well, and having maintenance kits. And it's like, for us, it's just. It was set off, you carried everything that you needed to get around the world. And I'd planned 150 days, and that didn't quite happen. So next time.
So on that point, are you going to have another crack at 2027, and what would you do differently if you did?
Well, I think Ronstan would be a lovely sponsor, wouldn't he? Peter, you edited that one out. I would definitely, if I had a sponsor that could cover some of the major costs, most definitely. But I'd funded it was self-funded
Yeah.
for the majority, and it takes a lot of money and a lot of effort and 4 years to prep for those races. And because you've still got to get the boat across to the start line, that it's not like just ducking across from the States.
No.
20 days and you're over.
No.
It's a big challenge from here.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
But I do it in heartbeat.
Finish it off, yeah.
Nuts.
So, onto the boat a little bit. Just sitting here, you can see, I mentioned this to you the other day when I walked past. You've got an interesting centreboard that comes out of the hull just forward of the rudder.
Yep.
Obviously, we've seen boats over time, like I think Wild Oats had a bow centreboard for a while. It's not a completely novel concept, but one in the cockpit near the tiller is probably a bit unusual. So when do you use that, and what does it do to the feel of the boat?
So I tend to, the design is obviously upwind for tracking and reducing some leeway. So it's about, I would say about 8 foot, what's that, 2 meters-ish long, manually lifted and then changed from side to side.
Yep.
So it comes up higher than the boom when you try to lift it up.
Yep.
So the boom's got to be off centre line, and then you manually slot it into that other slot, and that one's got a plug in it to stop the water from gushing back up in it. So yeah, you use it generally upwind and on a bit of a reach, and it's got jacking points, so I can jack it up out of the water when we're running downwind. I just got to remember not to put my kidneys into it, which is a bit of a problem. And it also helps the autopilot.
Yes.
So for tracking under autopilot, you'll get very little helm movement. So it definitely works.
Yeah, I suppose if you think about what it's doing, when you put that down, it's like moving the keel backwards.
Yeah.
Your centre of resistance goes from there to there.
And it's giving more lateral stability.
Yeah. And it'll be like reducing weather helm, I suppose, because it effectively puts more sail area in front of the resistance point.
Yeah, and I spoke to the designer's still alive, the builder's still alive in business, both in business. And I asked him, I said, do you still use this, aft daggerboard arrangement on any of your designs? And he goes, yep, it's still quite effective.
Brilliant.
So yeah, and this is a one-off boat.
Yeah.
So
It's also the emergency tiller.
Oh yeah, so on the back you'll see some pintles down the back there. Big robust ones with about a 13mm bloody pin.
Yeah.
There's a cassette that goes in there, and then you take this and you slide this into the cassette, and you've got your emergency rudder.
How good.
Yeah.
I reckon that same concept, I could be wrong, we have to fact check this, but I'm pretty sure in the 99 Mini Transat race, that guy, Chris Sayer from New Zealand, he had that little Welsford design timber one.
Yeah.
I thought he was a bit, he's rocked up with this boat that's a bit different to everyone else's. But he had, I'm sure, foil like that through his cockpit.
It was the porcupine one.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
And then it was blowing like a gale in Biscay, and he ended up coming third in that leg or something, because he had this boat like that. It'll just drive itself. So we need to check that before we put it in the video.
He'd be is he not John Sayer's son? Is it, or
I don't
relation?
know if they're
relation?
No, because he is from New Zealand. Where's John Sayer from?
I thought they were from New Zealand originally, but I'm not
could be
sure.
related.
Because he's sailing with Alan Paris. He's from New Zealand.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, ask John when you go and do an interview with him.
Yeah, that'll be definitely a curly one to hit him.
Yeah.
So you're supporting the charities Brain Tumour Alliance Australia and Soldier On. What can you tell us about each charity and why you selected to support them?
Yep. So Soldier On, I've been supporting them since 2012. I actually interviewed one of the guys who was the co-founder when he was joining Air Force. So, and it wasn't long after when he got together with his mates after a deployment to the Middle East, and then they came up with the concept, and it took off from there. So I was one of the early adopters of supporting them. That was back when they didn't have, ex-prime ministers and all of the head shed and corporate. They have industry, Lockheed Martin, BAE, all the big names, Raytheon. So they're all supporting it now. So we've sort of drawn away from the fundraising. It's more about the awareness of the support that they can provide ex-service people.
Yeah.
For Brain Tumour Alliance, Daz and I had a friend that was diagnosed in about 2015, I think it was, with grade 4 brain cancer.
Yeah.
And he left behind wife and 2 boys.
Yeah.
But his 6 months prognosis was, that's how long he got with grade 4, roughly 6 months. He held on for 3 years.
Wow.
He actually got to the point where he was going back to work part-time. He was going to the gym. He was just doing everything he could
Yeah.
And his name was Nathan Draper.
Yeah.
Call him Bullet because everything he did was like a bull at a gate. But he was fit, healthy. You wouldn't know anything was wrong with him.
Yeah.
And then one day, just had a dizzy spell. Go to the doctor. You've got brain cancer, dude.
Wow.
Yeah. So I went down and visited him in hospital down in Canberra, and I said, "What can we do for you, mate? I've got a boat with like signage spaces. Is there any charity you want me to support?"
Yeah.
It's the least I can do. Can't do anything else.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Yep, Brain Tumour Alliance." And I said, "Well, what do they do?" And he said, "They look after the carers and the families of the victims, but primarily the carers and the families, and they provide all sorts of support avenues and just basically reassure them if they're something they're not sure of, they can touch base with them." So I was like, "Yep, okay, I'll get in touch with them."
Yeah.
They were absolutely over the moon. They don't get any government funding.
Yeah.
So to have a billboard,
Yes.
and we've got like Sydney Hobart with Brain Tumour Alliance on the sail and on the hull, it was like send a photo is the best sort of advertising that we could give them. And we have a couple of fundraising sites, but it's mainly about promotion of the words of the work they do. But we've also got for this race, we're also bringing in another charity, and I'll let Daz talk about that one.
So PanKind, which is the Pancreatic Cancer Research mob. My younger sister was diagnosed with pancreatic and liver cancer. When was that? March 23.
23.
She passed away in August of 23, so she only survived the 5 months. So I did a Remember September thing for her, and then and PanKind's part of that. It's just a sub branch of them. Yeah. But I thought for this, because when we do the Melbourne Osaka trip, I've got some of Rachel's ashes to spread when we do the trip.
Yeah.
So I've brought PanKind on to do some fundraising for them to hopefully get some more dollars to help with cancer research.
Oh,
so
excellent. Okay. And then the Hobart you said you had the stickers on for, that was this last edition you did?
Yep.
Yeah. You did that double-handed or with a crew?
Yeah, double-handed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How did you find that? That was a pretty windy one from here.
It was, for us, it was pretty good until we blew sails.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't really good for us. We were a bit it was like sailing with a handbrake on.
Yeah.
It was messy at the start. We had a bit of a screw up in the harbour getting out. Got swamped by. We're on the second start line.
You're gonna struggle.
we basically got sailed over,
Yeah.
and then it was just a matter of keeping clear, trying not to get hit.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of string on this boat. It's not a regatta boat. You can't just flip it from one tack to the other.
Yeah.
It's got running backstays and a lot of string that catches. So we just got out of I think we were about second last just in front of Kismet. They're coming out of the harbour, but we weren't second last for long.
No.
As soon as we popped that kite, we were clawing back. It was doing about 15, 17 knots boat speed.
How long did that go for, just cruising with the kite?
Till 6 o'clock, I think it was.
Yeah, something like that. We're laughing at other boats. We're
was
just watching them round up and blowing sails, and we're just like, oh yeah, cool.
Yeah.
We're still tracking all right, but every now and then, just with the sea state just getting pushed around a bit, and we'd collapse spinnaker, and then she'd refill, just that snap. So it was the 5th time I think it did it. Yeah, she went.
And I can't believe a 2006 sail just didn't last that long.
No. What's wrong with the sailmate?
No, I'm going to write a letter to him.
You should. Yeah. And then in terms of getting a sail like that down, and it's that windy with two of you, how do you do that? Like,
it was in a snuffer. No, it was in a snuffer, and it was we just bought this snuffer, and it didn't have a hard ring on it. And it was like, I'd never used a soft ring snuffer. It was like, and it's like, okay, we'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
I was a bit short of time to get one. Anyway, no, not recommended.
No.
Don't get a soft ring snuffer.
Nope.
So it's blown, and Daz is on the foredeck. We're trying to get it down, and the snuffer's just strangling it. So it's like, all right, we'll have to drop it the old-fashioned way. And then it did a wrap.
Multiple wraps.
So then it was a case of I'm trying to steer downwind, upwind, to trying to get it to backflip.
Yeah.
And we finally got it down, and got it back in the boat, and put the J2.5 out, and off we went again, and we're still doing probably 12s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we didn't have a pole at that stage to pole out the jib.
Yeah.
We do now. I cut the 6.5 metre spinnaker pole down,
Yeah.
cut 2.5 metres off it,
Yeah.
and went, I use it for spinnakers, so let's use it for the jib.
Yeah, quite nice and zealous.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. Yep.
Yep.
And just freaking keep the constant speed up.
Yeah, definitely. So was there much difference in required preparation between the lead up to the Global Solo Challenge and the Osaka Race?
Well, because I was doing it remotely, I was based in the US for 3 years, so I was going backwards and forwards to the Netherlands where I bought the boat.
Yeah.
So I was doing a partial refit in the Netherlands, and I had the yard do some work, and then I did my own partial refit from the Netherlands across the bottom of the UK and into Spain.
Wow.
So then I did another partial refit after. Then we had COVID, obviously, so I had a hiatus, save a bit of money, and then I did another refit in Spain, which is like I would call it the final one, to get ready for the race. So it did take a good 3 years to prep for it. A lot of the equipment, well, all of the equipment that I've got for the Global Ocean Race exceeds what we need for Osaka, except the medical kit, which is it's different. Like I've got a Category 0 medical kit.
Wow.
And it's put together. You had to do 2 commercial first medical courses that commercial like first mates and coxswains and skippers do. They go for a week each. Super expensive. But you get really good quality instruction from emergency care specialists and professionals. So that training was really good. There was a lot of onus on the skipper to do, to be compliant with things like country clearances. All of that sort of stuff was the skipper's responsibility, not the race organisation. They just said must comply with countries of entry, exit, and entry. Whereas this race is a bit more, because it's underworld sailing, it is more controlled by the race committee. So there's a lot more paperwork, believe it or not, than there was for the Global Solo Challenge. So there was a lot of, I suppose, research that went on in the background as well, because you've got where you're going to navigate. So this one is different again because we're going north, and whilst coming through the doldrums across the equator where there's no land, you look at it on the Vendée Globe, and it's a wedge, and you aim for the thinnest point. And as the season moves on, the wedge moves. So you just sort of take a gamble and go, well, I'm going to put myself here. That's the gate that I'm going to get through. Should be 2 days. I'm good. This one, because of the islands, those pockets of doldrums and just constantly moving, and then you get the annual effect of how much breeze pushes west. So that's what you sort of it might be 4 weeks, 5 weeks long, but 2 weeks in the middle,
brutal.
It could be good, or it might not be.
So it's really a make and break.
So and it is the only race that does that north-south.
I can't think of another one.
And I've come from Malaysia down through the South China Sea on my Sigma 36, and there's a lot of no wind. A lot of no wind, a lot of traffic.
It would be quite busy. So I ask the same question to everyone. Do you think about how deep the ocean is out there? Because of course sometimes it's right over the Mariana Trench. And when I talked to George, the race organiser, he reckons he accidentally dropped something in it when he was working on his mast. So do you ever, if you're lying in bed, do you think there's only this much fiberglass or carbon and then 11 kilometres of water?
No, but Daz was looking somewhere to put his sister's ashes, spread his ashes, for travel. No, I don't think about it.
Equatorial current. That'd be, see ya. Do a nice lap around the globe.
But you won't catch me tethered to the boat going for a swim. No. I'm not that keen to go out and test the strength of a rope or a knot. Or a guy on the deck with a knife.
Hey, Kev.
We're running out of food.
You look like you're a good swimmer. See ya.
Just tricking.
So then how much sailing have you two done together, and how did you sort of meet and get this idea going to actually do this race together?
Oh, you can answer that one, mate.
So Kevin and I started sailing together in 2010, I think it was. both in defence and there was, Williamtown. They were setting up a sailing club sort of thing, but I wasn't really sort of interested in the smaller boat stuff. And then Kev was, I think, looking for crew to do local racing, and had a bit of a chat with him. Funny thing was, we'd actually crossed paths back in the early 90s, mid 90s, early 90s when Defence were looking to do the 12 metre yacht stuff. We're going to hire 3 yachts and compete in this thing, and I went down to try out for the team, and Kev was one of the selectors for it. So we'd sort of crossed paths previously, but
the America's Cup Challenge between Defence, Army, and Air Force.
Yeah,
on America's Cup boats.
It was good. It was most probably the fittest I've ever been training for that, because we were doing training 3 days a week, 3 times a day for about 5 days a week. I did that for about 8 weeks and was like super fit. And then they turned it off, and it took me 3 weeks to slow down from it. But anyway, so yeah, Kev and I. So I jumped on his Sigma 36, and we're just doing local stuff, and we just gradually more and more, and then the discussion of Sydney to Hobart sort of came up. Unfortunately, I got posted across to Adelaide.
Yeah.
So I'd chase some sailing up in Adelaide, and then I'd come back and did sail Port Stephens a couple of times with Kev, and then finally did our first Sydney to Hobart in
2019, yep.
And that was a fully crewed option. And then
First one.
Yeah, first one. And then Kev was keen to do the two-handed, so then we went back 21.
Yeah.
And did that one, but we broke just off Bateman's. So that was it was quite a rough, one of those rough races. Lots of slamming and stuff like that. So
we're the 30th boat
30th,
to retire.
36th boat.
We thought we were the first. It's like,
yeah, because it was the second night that we broke.
Yeah.
So we were the 36th boat to retire. So it took out half the fleet. So,
and the stupid part was it was the little controller for the autopilot, and I'd taken the spare off to put on this boat in Spain. So wasn't I dark?
Yeah. So then we had to come back and have another crack at it. But in the meantime, Kev had this boat, and bought it back, and then we used this last Sydney to Hobart as a qual for Melbourne to Osaka. So we've been sailing together on and off for, what's that?
2010.
Yeah, since 2010, 15 years.
Wow.
So
we haven't killed each other yet.
No, that's good. No, that's what most
We've
people
injured
ask
each other. He's bled on the boat.
Yeah, I keep bleeding on his boat. Leave my DNA somewhere on the boat.
So you're starting with the bulk of the fleet on the 16th of March. There's several starts depending on the speed of the boat. So which boats in that group of competitors starting on that day do you think are kind of your closest competition on the water?
Yeah, I think that the Class 40s are probably the closest thing, and they'll probably be ahead, but hopefully not by much. And even the 50-footer, by the time you do the waterline length to all the weight and the luxury that they're carrying.
Joker X2.
Joker X2, the J boat, that's probably, I think they're rated the same on AMS handicap.
Yeah, okay.
So there's a good amount of boats to tussle between and watch their strategies and tactics, because we'll all be a bit tight-lipped as we get closer to the. It'll probably all become evident about probably Wollongong or so. I think who's going where. Yeah. But that could change a week later, and it could be a big course divert to get around a cyclone, because you do even deliveries to the Solo Trans-Tasman when I've done in February and March. Most of the Brisbane and North boats always get hit by some sort of leftover cyclone. In March. So, yeah.
I haven't looked, in the last couple of days what's happening further out. But you got the one in Brisbane at the moment. But then
even further out, there's some little there's little follow ones.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's and 9 metre waves close to shore is just not my idea of a cup of tea.
No.
That'd be huge. How big's your mast?
Well, I had 8 metres in the Southern Ocean, and that was enough to keep me in the cabin.
Wow, that was the Indian Ocean. But
down near Kerguelen Islands. It's it was pretty big.
How big is that if you are here? Like, just for perspective, like, is it just a wall of water that?
It looks flat. Like
really?
it's in a camera, it looks like it's a 1 metre, 2 metre swell, but it's not. The base of them is so long, and the period's about 11 seconds. So you've got this big drop. So the wind would drop, change a little bit of direction, and as you come up the top, blow like all hell,
Yeah.
scare the crap out of you.
And
And then you're just going down below and go, yep, yeah, we're still good.
Oh, hard to imagine.
Yeah, it was fun.
So on the way back from Osaka, what's the plan there? Some people are stopping at islands, and yeah, what are you going to do?
Yeah, the original plan was to do the Transpac. It was to turn left and go to the States, and then come back, follow the breeze, do the Transpac, and then sort of follow the coconut trail back home. But coming across on our delivery from Hobart, we hit something.
Yeah.
We slammed down on a something or other. I don't know what it was, but it was sharp, and it punched a hole in the hull up on the bow. So my budget got sucked up with fixing that. So my little Transpac's going to have to wait. Yep. So the plan is now is I'm just going to hot foot it home, straight back solo.
Yeah, geez, okay.
Might go the long loop, so I don't have to put up with that doldrums and motor, because motoring is just, just do a bit wider loop, maybe come down through New Zealand. Yeah. I'm retired, so.
I've got to go back to work, unfortunately.
Just got to make sure I got enough food.
Yes.
And I'm not sure about the Japanese freeze dried. I've found some, but yeah,
nothing.
Not sure.
Okay, so that's sort of the last of the questions, but would you be able to show us around your boat and point out the interesting features as we go along?
Yep.
Sounds good.
Down the back, I've got ocean power hydro generators from Germany.
Yep.
They're way cheaper than I want to see.
Okay.
And the only thing I did to those during the Global Solar Challenge was hit stuff and break some blades.
Yep.
And use one Allen key and swap out the blade.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah.
So those were super reliable. They're made 3D printed parts, magnetic generator, no oil, no gearbox, nothing. Just
brilliant.
Just they pump in amps.
Wow.
So I've got two of those.
Yep.
A-frame used to have a wind generator on, so I got rid of that. I've got a radar target enhancer, so the big long stick there.
Yep, so that's for the radar.
Active X and S. So ships use, I think it's X in close to shore and S offshore.
Yep.
Two different bands.
Yep.
And especially during rain, I think the S has got the clarity.
Yep.
Two sat phone, external sat phone.
That one?
Antenna, and that one down the leg on the other side. To your right, there's another sat phone antenna.
Okay, yep.
That's for the GoPro, the Iridium Go.
Yep.
And then the little dish up the top is just Starlink Mini.
Yep.
I try to engage veteran businesses where I can.
Yep.
So Rising Sun up in Townsville was a veteran business, and they modified the 3D printed frame that they had.
Ah.
They said I'd like to put a Lexan shield for hail damage. So
Yeah, I see.
designed the hail, the mount.
Yep.
And then they provided the Lexan shield, so she's bulletproof. That thing.
That's brilliant.
Travel assistant.
Yep.
Ronstan.
Brilliant.
Original Fredrickson cars.
Yep.
Blocks on each end.
Yep.
And when I took them off to service them, I just took the lines out. You could spin the bearing. This is only after a freshwater clean, no McLube or anything.
Yeah.
You could spin it, and
still
they just
wet.
kept spinning. And they kept spinning, and they kept spinning.
Yes.
It's like, oh my god. But you guys made that one for me, custom mount.
Yep.
We got the raised platform, and to take the Starset ducks strop.
Yep.
So that's been faultless, absolutely faultless.
Yep.
And then we've got Ronstan foot blocks down there again.
Yep, so that's your two running backstays.
So there's a lot of load on those suckers. All the clutches are basically the original spin locks. I've got spare cartridges for them if they start to slip.
Yep.
I put on a heap of Carver jammers from John at Anyport. He's been helping me out with my Carver spurler and things like that. So
yep.
They're good. But I got solar. There's a solar panel under there, 82 watts under the bag.
Under the bag.
285 sunbeam.
Yep.
Tough flat to all walk on.
Yep.
247s down the back.
Yep. And then
Wilder boom brake, absolutely freaking priceless, this thing.
Yep.
Just to slow the control a jibe down.
Yeah.
When you've got 35 knots and you're by yourself up the gazoo.
Yep.
And a big cross sea and you have to jibe, this thing is a lifesaver.
Yep.
I can just control it, bring the boom to the centre line,
Yep.
and then drive off the headsail and then get the running backstay switched over and then
Okay, and then all your little loops are for...
just added storage.
Oh, okay. Yep, that's clever. I see.
And the spinnaker pole is that used to go down the
Way down there?
way down the back. It's probably about that staunching.
Yep.
So I cut it off and I got a sleeve turned up, took the old end out, made the sleeve, put the new sleeve into the new end, into the old end into the new sleeve.
Yep.
So now I've got a jig pole.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. And that goes there.
Yep. It just goes just above rail height.
Yep.
There's no slider and then it just holds the sail out.
Yep.
Engine's under here. And then in this side, and that side,
Yeah.
it's got, if you just walk down there and stick your head in, the light on there anyway.
There is. Yeah.
That's where the water ballast systems
Wow.
are remotely operated up from up top for,
Yep.
for those lines.
All the ropes.
And all the electronics on the mid petition.
Yep.
The water pipes on that bulkhead.
Yeah. Wow.
There's two separate systems, NK and Raymarine, as I said, completely independent of each other, so it gives me some redundancy.
Yeah, definitely.
Jet boil, which is gimbal, cutlery, alcohol stove,
Yeah.
32 litre water tank. So this is my primary water tank.
Yes.
Before the Osaka race, when I went around the world, I had that tank and 4 jerrys. So there's one there.
Wow.
So they're all little pouches
Yeah.
for different things, different conditions. And then there's another box that's locked away with all the controlled drugs.
Yes.
Your morphines and your penthrane,
Yeah.
painkillers.
Everything.
So they're kept separate.
Yeah. No, fair enough.
Blue bag. See that blue hose?
Yep.
That's a 4,700 gallon per hour pump.
Oh, wow.
That saved the class 40 at the end of the Hobart race.
Okay.
So we loaned that to them, and
Yep.
that stopped several panic people with buckets. I saved them a lot of work. It was got a massive 2-inch hose that you just roll out and lay in the cockpit.
Yep.
Battery spring clamps to go to your battery.
Yep.
Then you can just loan it to anyone.
Yeah, that's a brilliant idea.
On one of these, what we did in the Hobart was we slept on the floor on the beanbag because
Yeah.
it's just
Doesn't move.
It's just a dog beanbag,
Yep.
pet beanbag, long enough to do sort of your upper body length.
Yep.
It doesn't take up much space, and you can wedge yourself in here quite nicely. But for this one, we'll be sleeping on bunk.
Yep.
We
Okay.
just have one bunk. This will be the one.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter which side we're on.
Yep.
You can just rank yourself in the corner,
Yep.
put it in the hole.
Yep.
You don't have to worry about water coming over and spilling in. So
Yep.
it's quite a good idea.
How much do you anticipate you'll have to use the engine to charge?
Depends. If there's weed, that's the killer.
Ah.
If weed stops the hydro generators.
Yep.
So I didn't take that into account in the North Atlantic. I've got a lot of weed.
Yep.
And I went through about 34. So
Essentially.
Starlink is our internet.
Yeah.
So for $370 a month, you
Yeah.
get worldwide coverage. So if you're at home.
Wow.
And then I used the Iridium Go as the backup.
Yep.
So it's just the radar as a Doppler radar, so it gives you colour. So I can.
Oh.
I used it a lot in the squalls area.
Yeah.
So when I first blew out my code 0, the first squall got me. And,
Yeah.
and it destroyed my code 0. So I was like, right, okay, I guess I'm in squall territory.
Yep.
So I turned my radar on, started using it to spot squalls.
Yeah.
And red squalls, bad squalls.
Yes.
And then as they pass over you, they turn green.
Yeah.
So if they're not coming at you at an angle, they'll be partially green, partially red.
Yeah.
So you can alter your course, and you get sort of 12 nautical miles, 15
Yeah.
nautical miles warning. So you can actually alter your course and try to skip the corner of one, or
Yeah.
get a lift off one.
Yeah.
So I use the radar a lot.
Yeah. So if they're 12 miles away and you're doing 8 knots, yeah, it's quite a bit of time
Yeah,
because you're running away from it. Yeah.
and you can sort of if it's coming towards you, it's a bit, your options are a bit limited. But it's
Yeah.
like, well, I know it's coming, so I'll prepare for it.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're not using it, it's it's on you in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And if you're down below over lunch,
Yeah.
well, there's 15 minutes gone.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, this is my.
Yeah.
Did you have a seat?
I have not.
Oh, you better have a seat.
Got to try the seat. Okay.
Get everyone to sit down in the seat. And it reclines, swivels,
Does everything.
and does everything. So you can quite happily sleep in the
You
chair.
could easily sleep in this.
Yeah. I did fall asleep a few times actually.
Yeah. I can get used to this, definitely.
But that one's out of a super yacht. From
Really?
a super yacht shop.
There's a shop called the Super Yacht Shop.
It's like some things for super yachts
Oh.
where they do refits.
Yeah.
And they take all the old equipment out,
Yeah.
put it in containers, and then they flog it off through shops. And,
Wow.
Yeah, €120 for a $2,500 euro chair.
Yeah. It's an amazing chair.
Yeah. So that's where most of the time you're down here off watch, you're just chilling out having dinner.
Yep.
And then we use this as the table.
Yep.
So it's everything's in spinning distance.
Yes.